Great day, everyone. Great day, everyone who's joining us today. I want to welcome you to the Talk to Me Chef podcast. I'm your host, Chef Diamond, and it's going to be a great evening. We have an amazing guest, and I'm excited to introduce you to our first episode. So it's great having everyone in today, okay? So as we get started, as I mentioned, I'm Chef Diamond. I'm the creator of Chef Diamond and Friends. And Chef Diamond and Friends is an educational platform that teaches kids how to cook and the importance of eating healthy. So in that brand, we got together, myself and Chef Fuller, who is our special guest today, and we started brainstorming on what it's like to take this across the world. So I'm excited. We got an amazing treat for you today. And then also, as you can see, I have on my cool kid specs, right? So everyone's probably watching, wondering, what is that with what is going on with these glasses? So these glasses represent my young chef Mila, right? So one of my young entrepreneurs who is in my culinary cooking club, and I love supporting young entrepreneurs, and she has her own brand of glasses, right? And it's just so befitting that she has all colors to match all of our Chef Diamond and Friends aprons. So I had to without a doubt support her and buy a couple pair for myself and for my friends. So let's get to it. And of course, everyone who watching today as well, I want to encourage y'all to go support your young entrepreneurs. So today we have an amazing guest on our first episode, right? Not only is he an executive chef, an instructor, a businessman, right? A businessman, a business owner to be exact, of Eating to Live, a father, a mentor, a dedicated teacher to a lot of upcoming young chefs, right? A mad scientist. I can remember back in the day, everything that he did, he was always in the kitchen, just playing around with food, right? With over 32 years of experience. And it's just amazing today that we're still connected. We're great friends, but it didn't start like that, right? So today I'm gonna introduce you to Chef Fuller, Chef David Fuller, and we're gonna go over his journey and how he created Eating to Live and the world's greatest greens. So without a doubt, let's introduce. I bring to you Chef Fuller.
Talk to me, Chef.
Talk to me, Chef. Talk to me, Chef.
What's going on, brother?
How you doing today? Good to see you.
Oh, man, it's good to be seen.
Thank you for joining me today. It's only befitting that you're on this first episode, right?
Oh, that's right.
Let's give them the backstory. Okay, so almost every week, me and Chef talk, and we're on the phone. And every time he called me, what I say, Chef?
Talk to me, Chef.
Talk to me, Chef. Talk to me, Chef. And he said, you know what, Chef? You got to do something with that. And I was in the process of starting a podcast, and I'm starting another one as well. But my focus had came to me when he flipped that switch, and I said, you know what? Let's start telling the stories of all of our chefs, right? A lot of our stories aren't being told. So today we're going to start off with Chef Fuller, and we're going to dig deep into it. So welcome, Chef. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I feel very attached to your journey. We have a collective journey. That's just one example over the years how iron sharpens iron. We actually have seen that in plain sight. So I am very proud to be the first chef story that you tell to be the catalyst of all the other great examples of culinary creatives that we have, not only in our community, but in communities around the world, because this is a global brand.
Definitely.
First.
Definitely. We taking over the world. And we're just getting started, right? No matter, we've been at this for years. And what most people don't realize is that you got to have that energy to win, Chef. So let's take it back a little bit. Let's take it to the beginning. So how did it start, right? 32 years plus, you've had your hands in various areas of this industry, from teaching to catering to overall just food science in general. So where did it start from? Let's take it back.
Well, it started from having a passion for food as a little kid. grew up playing sports, loved basketball. I wasn't going to be an NBA player, but in the midst of doing normal kid things, one of my favorite passions was to, at the time, WTTW station, public television in Chicago, they had cooking shows. This is before the Food Network.
Okay.
So Julia Child, chef, rest in peace. Justin Wilson, the Cajun cook. Yan Can cook. Had Asian content, and with everything else, I'd sneak away and be watching these cooking shows. And it really all crystallized to me. I love to go to the grocery store with my mom growing up and kind of being involved in the weekly meal planning. And then she, of course, started off teaching me how to cook. I had the best after school snacks and cheeseburgers. We grew up in an apartment. We didn't, how do you grill in the summertime? So we had the tabletop electric grills, and I just thought I was outside. So that was kind of organically how I started cooking, having a passion for food. And then when I was 15, my sophomore year in high school, my best friend growing up, his family were restaurateurs, and they opened up a Bonanza family restaurant in Chicago on the South Side, 8734 South Stony Island. He went to lab school. I went to St. Ignatius. We both got work permits, and we started at the grand opening of the Bonanza, which was totally unique for an urban area of Stony Island, a steakhouse on Stony Island. We started on Mother's Day, 1988. Both of us were busboy dishwashers. So I started at the bottom. I started at the bottom.
Like most of us.
Yeah. And that day we worked from open to close. And my mother can always tell the story when she came to pick us up. We just looked like we had been through the storm. But that was on that day, the excitement, the energy of the restaurant. I knew from that day that I wanted to be in the industry. Because of that, before that, I really didn't. I think, I was a good student, but I like creative stuff. I like pictures. I like designing a little bit. I thought maybe I would be an architect, but when I got in that restaurant that first day, that's what kicked it off.
It was over. So you knew it from the beginning.
No, from the beginning, 15 years old, it hit me, and it hits people differently. It's all about exposure.
Yeah. You talk about that.
Yeah, being exposed to different things. Kids' natural inclinations, the after-school process. When I was coming up, there was no after-school matters.
Yeah.
There was no cooking club. I went to great schools, private Catholic high school. Nobody was talking about going into the food industry, at all. So my journey was kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to take the road less traveled. Right. And that's what I did.
Wow. Now that's amazing. And how you touched on it, and it started from the beginning. Mine was similar, right? I knew it from the beginning. And so let's walk through. So you had that passion from that beginning with your mother, right?
Right.
And walk through your educational journey, because it's one thing just to have access to working inside of a kitchen. So how did you expand upon that throughout your educational journey?
Well, from that first experience, it kind of crystallized. So for the next couple of years, I worked in the restaurant at various different positions, going to do the salad bar prep. One of the rites of passage while I was a busboy was to ask the cooks if I could, work on the line for the first half hour of lunch and make my own lunch. So I'm meticulously learning how to cross-hatch burgers and chicken sandwiches. And I take a couple orders, I fix my food, and then, characteristically, if it starts to get busy, all right, okay, go back to washing dishes thing. And so when I was 17, when exploring different options for college, I'm like, what do I do? So I looked at hospitality programs, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. They had a hospitality program. Those were the main two. There was one HBCU, Howard University. They had a hotel program at actually a hotel on campus. But by the time I got a chance to apply, they closed the program. So I was like, man, what am I going to do? And so my parents took me on a college tour my junior year, and we went down to Morehouse, the AUC campus, and there was a big rumbling about the Florida A&M University School of Business. And I had a chance to go down and visit the campus and stay for a couple of days. And when I saw the campus, I saw the business school, I saw the weather, I saw the trees, I saw the pretty girls. I knew that was the place for me. Hey, that has nothing to do with culinary. So in my investigations at that point, it came to me, okay, I'm going to go to Florida A&M School of Business, get a business degree, and then after I graduate, I'll go get a culinary degree, which will be in place of an MBA, and then that'll give me the foundation of what I would need to own my own food business. So that was at 17.
Okay, so let's pick that apart, Chef. So as you said, this whole master plan came about when you were still earlier on, right? So
yes.
Who helped you with that master plan? Was it just you just brainstorming by yourself, or did you have mentors?
At that time, it was basically me and my dream by myself, because nobody was interested in going into the food business. I didn't know any professional chefs. I mean, I had great cooks in the village and in my family, which were inspirations to me, but it was sort of like, me being in the college counseling office in high school, just trying to find programs directed to food, and then started directed to business. And, I got the revelation that this is my path. Now, all the stuff in between, it didn't come. You have to go through the journey. But the initial starting point at 17, once I came back from visiting Florida A&M, that was going to prepare me to, be my own boss. Now, that was another part of the journey. I wanted to be self-determined.
Okay.
That was the thing. So when people ask you, what do you want to do? You want to open a restaurant, thing, and it kind of puts you into a box, or people try to put you into a box. But I never really conformed to that, because a lot of my passions wasn't. I was like, I just don't want to be sitting in a restaurant as an owner or operator per se. Yes, I would like to invest and own and be an owner in restaurants, but that's not the goal. So that's not self-determination and freedom was the goal, and connecting it to my craft, which, we're doing today.
Right. So we're
32 years later from that, when it crystallized at 17 years old.
Well, we'll have to connect on those dots too, because I know earlier on, I knew from the beginning, but then I had a mentor that poured into me as well, who said, don't put all your eggs in one basket, Mr. Muhammad, of course.
Right.
And he opened my eyes to that, exactly what you just said, the difference between being a chef and being a business owner. So that's great that you had that mindset at that age. So walk me through, you're graduating college, right? So what does that look like?
Yeah, graduating college, basically everything. I've done, completed a few internships. My last internship senior year was with Chili's Grill and Bar under Brinker International out in Skokie, Illinois in 1995. So that was my last internship before graduating. Graduated in December of 95, had an offer right out of school to work with Darden Restaurants and Red Lobster, right out of school. And that's when it got real, Chef.
Wow.
That's what the thing. It really got real. So that part of the journey, I'd done everything I was supposed to do, and I was living in that light. They offered me a job, $30,000 coming out of school at that time. That was pretty good, especially going into restaurant management. Yeah. And again, nobody's going into restaurant management that I know from my village, college educated. But again, I wanted to go into the food business. Right. And then, the hiccup, life hit me. And so ironically, I failed my first drug test.
Oh.
Yeah. So the legend has it that I smoked a $30,000 blunt. And so from there, of course, damaging, having to tell my mother that she invested, private school,
Yes.
St. Ignatius and college, and here you knucklehead, what are you doing? So that kind of sped up the maturation process of what I had to go through over the next 10 to 15 years to really master myself, to be able to master my craft, which is something that's the individual journey where you have to learn, explore. I come from a great village, but until you master yourself, you won't be able to master any discipline. So, I ended up, actually my first job, I pivoted and I ended up selling postage meters with Pitney Bowes. It's my first job. And so, but I had an opportunity for outside sales to have some transferable skills in that. But again, you can't cheat the game. So I found myself putting on a shirt and tie, going down to the office saying I'm going out in the field, and then I'm coming back home. Cheating myself. And so about that can only last so long in a sales environment. I don't know if you've seen the movie Glenn Ross. It's a famous sales movie that everybody in sales and business definitely needs to see. But when those numbers on those boards, and you at the bottom of the totem pole, you're not performing, there are no excuses.
And that's why those systems are set up like that. It's great. It weeds you out.
The numbers don't lie. So, from there, it was kind of like, okay, you got to pull yourself up your bootstraps, and really a journey of the next 10 years, crossing every different path in the hospitality and restaurant business, from catering sales to restaurant management. And I actually had a point of redemption 4 years after I failed that first drug test. I applied for restaurant management with Red Lobster again. And so, of course, I knew what to say, well-versed mentors and human resources. And of course, Florida A&M School of Business really gave you, especially when we talk about interviewing skills, where when I was coming out of college, going on interview, it'd be like me interviewing the person, the hiring manager, because we were just so taught to be so well prepared, have research questions, researching not only the company, but the industry and looking beyond. So I would always able to separate myself and always be able to get another position. And just something told me like, you need to go back and apply for Red Lobster. I saw Red Lobster's looking for managers. And I got to the second interview and it was hiring time, and something told me just to be honest and tell the truth. And I told the hiring manager that, I failed the drug test coming out of college. I'd like to have another opportunity. Things happen when you're young. And he was like, you know what? I have nothing but respect. It takes a lot of integrity to actually admit that. I was scared for a while, thinking my name was still flagged in the file. But corporate wasn't quite detailed as that. And so he was like, you got the job.
Awesome. So let's unpack that really quickly too, Chef. So you mentioned the part where you failed the drug test, right?
Yes, sir.
So currently you're overseeing a lot of youth, of course. How do you inspire them and encourage them to down better paths right now, of course?
I try to get them to see beyond the now. It's hard because they suffer from audio, visual, chemical, sexual stimulation that's bombarded at them, and so they are, in our community, they're socially engineered to self-destruct. So they have all of these negative influences. Of course, the young people that I teach, a lot of them don't have the benefit of the village that I come from. Not only family, but neighborhood, church, Sunday school, being able to see, even though I come from a single family household, my parents were divorced when I was 5, I still had influences of family structure and village and care. And so for those that are left behind, I try to encourage them to log on to something that they're passionate about, and where you're going to see yourself 5 or 10 years from now. Because the joke is now, okay, here's the thing, but what are going to be your choices? You know, you're in a vocational school. How do you graduate from a vocational school without a skill? And so it's like when you were in school, that reach back, I think you were the first student that I hired to help grow my business.
Yeah.
You know, actually, when you were a senior, we did a housewarming party in Woodline, and that was the thing that the unique thing about you was growing up. You grew up in Cabrini Green, and for that gig, you took the 2 buses and train by yourself to get there.
Yes.
And then when the party was over, you were trying to go on a bus and train to go back to Cabrini Green. It's like, no, man, what are you doing? So we got one of the fellas like, we're gonna take Chef Diamond back. He did an outstanding job, but that was the kind of like the turning point.
Yeah.
With myself and culinary education, but working with young people and involving them in my business. So you were the first of many, and that was one of the highlights of doing catering and special events, specializing in private residences get these young adults, high school, and you graduate, and you just got a crew. And, you know, it was a family affair. And back then, I used to pay in advance, right, with an envelope.
Before and it makes the difference, too.
No excuses. Now, you know, no matter, I don't care what they say about you, Chef Diamond, but when you talk about Chef, I'm going to pay you in advance. I'm looking for you to perform. I'm not going to micromanage you, but I trust you enough. How many companies are really going to do that today? Paying an employee in advance. That doesn't sound right. But for me, that worked because there wasn't any conversations about expectations of customer service and you do your job. Hey, we have a high five at the end, but you already got paid. Now show and prove.
Yeah, and you already knew that too. So when you talked a little bit about college, right, Chef? That being the difference maker. So let's talk about that, because nowadays there are a lot of people that are saying that they don't need to go to college.
You know, there's a flip side. College is not for everybody, but, you know, specifically, you know, some sort of certification or study or scholarship and studying your craft is necessary for you to execute. But a traditional university setting, no, that's not for everybody's path. So I like the fact that, okay, everybody doesn't go to college. You'll hear that mantra. Okay, but if you're not going to college, where are you going? You know, just going to say I'm graduated, and, well, I don't know, I'm going to go in a minimum wage position. Where you go in a minimum wage position to work your way up. So one of the disappointing things about being an educator for 19 years is to talk with young people when they're freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and then you get to senior level. Like, man, what do you like to do? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. That is where we're losing. So we have to go younger. So now the mantra is go to the primary and middle school and revitalize, take career and technical education and bring it to the young people. So when they get to high school, they've been exposed to different areas. We could kind of figure that by the time they get to high school, they will have touched on something that they kind of have a liking to. That's changing the narrative.
Right. And so you're big on mentoring too. So what got you into the educational space, Chef?
You know, I kind of like fell into it. You know, before I was educator, I was well into the industry, looking to, you know, tired of working for other people, wanting to ultimately get my brands out there. So that was the ultimate goal, get my brands out there. So before I started teaching, I was working for another minority food brand. And so I was doing demo chef work at trade shows. So I was studying specialty food products, and I was at this trade show, a fancy food show, and I saw a Black lady there. It was Comfort Cake, Amy Hilliard. And I was like, wow, It's Black people in this industry. And I had my resume in my bag. I gave her my resume, and I started doing some 1099 work with her at other trade shows and in her office. And then she introduced me to another couple of other business owners, and I was like, wow. And I don't know if you know it, Chef, Chicago is really the epicenter of food and beverage manufacturing. Mm-hmm. And so for African Americans, it's definitely entrenched in that legacy of Black businesses in the food space. And I got exposed to them. And so what better way? I was always taught, if you want to do something, go find the people that are doing it. And took the mentor from Grandma Ma's now home cooking, Paul Free-J, started working with him closely for about a year and a half. And I was doing some public speaking, working for some 1099 work for Miss Claudia Phillips. She had a food service consultant business. Mm-hmm. So I actually was doing cooking workshops at the Co-Med Center in Kenwood. Spring break classes and summer classes, healthy eating. It was Share Our Strength program sponsored by Tyson Foods. And that was like how I would I got my feet wet a little bit. And I went to speak at Operation Push, and there were schools. I was on a panel, and there were schools that were visiting, and Simeon High School was there, their culinary program, and Chef Loretta Johnson, she came up to introduce herself to me after the symposium, and she was like, I was like, what do you do? I was like, she's a culinary educator. I was like, well, I can do that. And so she gave me the contact information, and I sent in my resume, had an interview, and I was hired within 2 weeks. And that was like my pivot from working for the minority food manufacturers, really, taking these baby steps of finding out what I want to do and finding out the people that are actually doing those things. Mm-hmm. And so now, was that fall of 2003, I got sent out to Austin High School, Central and Pine, in Austin community. And that really started my journey of tightening up what I needed to do, because I don't think I would have been able to get to this point. There were things, when you talk about mastering yourself and then mastering your craft, even though I was around the minority manufacturers, Black-owned manufacturers, I still wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
And so, ironically, I got sent to on the front lines to young people. Did 1 year Austin, and then I made the jump to come to Chicago Vocational, and I had that interview, and I looked at the cafe, and I was like, wow, man, I could do some things in here. And so that's how this last 18 years of being at CBS and working on the business, but working on people and building human capital, which you're a part of that. And that really is my point of differentiation in my business, is the people that I've worked with that helped to build me, but now I work for you too, Chef. You know what I mean? Hey, right here. Anybody you need, Chef Diamond and Friends, child safety knives, to start off with kids and cooking. So with my discount code, I'm able to create an income stream for myself. Discount code Eating to Live, for anybody listening, because that's back to me, because I'm a salesman first. And so that's an honor to be able to inspire, to be a part of that journey, and to be able to work for you in all humility is kind of a part of what, makes this all worth it.
Yeah, I love it. And that's that teamwork, right? We built that, not only just that teamwork, just that friendship, right? So we talk almost every week. And you touched on something that, because in the past, Chef, you talk about food manufacturing, right? And then you talk about your journey out of that into the school system. So let's talk about right now, right? So you have that experience on food manufacturing, and then you're leveraging the time that you're taking to build human capital in order to build Eating to Live in your entire brand. So how did you navigate that?
Well, it was like, all right, everybody's catering, everybody's doing something. doing events. Man, I tried everything. Popcorn vending machines. You know, I convinced my mother to co-sign on a popcorn vending machine. We put it at a car dealership, Nissan, out in Matson and Lincoln Highway. I tried popsicles, cotton candy popsicles. Bought a couple $100 worth of that, but I'm gonna sell in the summertime on the lake, cotton candy. That didn't work out. Had this vision of, we started selling Cavalier Cooler. That was the lemonade. That was inspired by one of the pioneers in the food business for African American, Wally Famous Amos. Mm-hmm. And he had one of his books, Turning Lemons into Lemonade, and he had a lemonade recipe in the back of his book. And I took that recipe and researched some other lemonade recipes, and we started. Was that 2006? Had a group of students, did a concession stand with Cavalier Cooler, you know, different flavors, strawberry, lemon, bottle them up, put the cap, $2 bottle, and actually teaching the students how much they cost. So I had this idea, you know, I'm looking at, you know, how you have sports stadiums and people have drink tanks on their back. Yeah. So I go out and I sign a lease for a Rocket Man machine. I'm going to go on the lake, pack it up with lemonade, with cups coming out. I mean, this is a true story. Trial and error, success. Yeah. What really was all about, you know, what do I do good? What am I good at? Which ended up being comfort food on the stove. So I like to tell young people, find the lane and stay in it. And so that's what I did. So in order to chase a restaurant dream per se, I started to hone in on the products, which the original product was Jive Turkey Dip that became Cavalier Queso. And so ultimately, you know, I thought that was going to be the first product that I would be get commercially on the market. And it ended up being the world's greatest greens, in irony. And so that's a part of being flexible as an artist. And it took me a while to accept that I actually was a creator, but what we call a culinary creator. Yes.
Let's touch on that, Chef, because you said, and this is for a lot of other creatives, right, that are watching this. When you talk about, you know, some other creators, they may have one song that they think is hot. They may have one other product that they think is hot. But like you mentioned, you thought the queso was going to be the front runner, right?
I did. I thought the queso was going to be knock it out. And
you opened your eyes to the greens.
I opened my eyes to be, and, you know, I had some influences of the village. And it was like, keep working on your craft. When you get to about 10 dishes that, man, when people taste it, like, man, you know. And so that, again, you know, I have a passion for outstanding food, you know, and hospitality. You know, I love to entertain, but those dishes, what are your signature dishes? And once I started working on stuff and got up to about 10, it was at the same time that I had an opportunity to present some dishes for Whole Foods in 2015. And it was like ready, you know, the preparation had been done. The focus was there. Right. And then when the opportunity came, I think at that time, I presented about 7 different comfort foods, dishes, and they loved everything. But the most practical for distribution was the greens. Start out the cousins, collard greens mixed with cabbage, our favorite cousins. And one unique thing about that fit with Whole Foods, I had done the research before the tasting, and Whole Foods had greens. But on the hot bars, they had a whole bunch of ham hocks in the greens, and the people were eating the greens and taking the ham hocks out of the greens. So I already had my formulation based with turkey, smoked turkey. Right. And then I had one customer, family in the village, for the holiday season, that ordered the vegan version of the greens. So I used, you know, I switched, no meat or anything, using a vegetable stock. And so something told me, like, no, with these greens, you've done the research. When you present the vegan version. And so that was the ticket to my foray into distribution were those greens. So I got my first purchase order in February of 2016 after having a tasting in January of 2015. So that's what people don't understand.
Right.
There are levels to it, but the selling cycles are about a year.
Right.
From when you have your first presentation to when you get your first purchase order and shipping and delivering your first check. So it takes a while.
So like as you talking about, Chef, it brings back my journey. And I'm talking about the process, right? So you just talked a little bit about loving the process, right? So because it seems like you had to go through that process and waiting. So how did you navigate that?
A patience. I went through some, when we say some elements of who you're spending your time with.
Yeah.
And I can look back and reflect when there's certain periods of time when I was spending time with certain people, I was kind of stagnant. And I also wasn't meeting the type of people that would enhance me.
Yeah.
When you say when you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find another room. And so when you're mastering yourself and having that patience and getting it takes those failures.
Yes.
You have to be baptized by some fire. A lot of people don't have the intestinal fortitude to take those no's. But we're talking about transferable skills. So when I go back to selling postage meters, cold calling, we don't want that. What are you talking about? Ain't nobody said. You got to be able to handle rejection. But there has to be something inside of you that said, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying. Yeah. Because if it was easy, everybody can do it.
Right. And then you'll break through. You break through.
Ultimately, if you are true, if you are true and you're passionate about what you do and you study your craft and you work on mastery, you're going to get an opportunity.
Yeah. And
so the ultimate joy is to take your gifts and be able to share with other people. And of course, monetize. This is not about opportunity thing. We want to monetize that. But one of my mentors once told me, Miss Buchanan, I was in an in-between stage. Man, when I'm going to break through. Teaching, going through some, difficult times, just coming at all angles. She was like, focus on the work and the mission. Pour into those children. Keep doing what you're doing. The money is going to come. And at that time, I needed to hear that because I was kind of like, man, when is this going to come? I keep listening. I kept hearing whispers in my ear. People like such and such opened up the restaurant. They don't have no experience. They haven't done. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So those are things in the mind, and most of this is from the neck up. So you can't worry about what that negative energy or naysaying is. If you got a dream, that's what dreams are for. You have we have the unique ability to, visualize and foresee. We write our history in advance through our dreams. That's real. And then we walk into it, we manifest it. But in the middle of that, you got to put in some work, and there's some patience, and there's some hills and there's some valley. But what fortified me was the talent was still there.
Yeah.
I just wasn't able to prove it.
Right.
I wasn't able to prove it. Man, he's still doing catering. The naysayers. Yeah. It's always that. It's the chatter. But being able to stay focused, being able to, even when nobody's looking, when nobody's looking, you still focus. I'm in the lab. I'm still working. That is what separates the good from the great to the exceptional. The people that are going to be legendary is what they do when people aren't looking, when the camera's not on. Are they putting in that work? You'll show when you see people, there's no such thing as an overnight success. What they say, you got to take the stairs. There's the elevator to success. There's no elevator to success. You got to take the stairs. That's every day. You can't just cut off when you're chasing a dream. You just can't. Oh man, I don't feel like it for one day, 2 days. But you have to rise above emotions. There's going to be some personal things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some people in your family that are coming in your way. There's going to be some people, co-workers,
Mm-hmm.
that are hating on you and, making mischief, but where are you at in the mind? Can you rise above emotion and stay focused? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's cliche, keep your eyes on the prize.
Mm-hmm.
Chef, that's easier said than done.
Right. And then two, another thing that you touched on, Chef, is you kept your ear to the customer, right? And that opened up a new product.
Yes, I kept my ear to the customer. I'm like, okay, study. So scholarship and research. So I'm big on research. So, for a while when I'm trying to, okay, I am a culinary creative. Okay, I'm kind of like a self-taught food scientist in a sense, because I'm a hybrid, so to speak. And when I really internalized that fire just lit. So even when I was in a bad spot, I was always studying and researching different segments of the industry, studying trends.
Mm-hmm.
5-10 years out, studying what the major corporations are studying, trying to see where they're going. I studied home meal replacement 15 years ago when it was just starting in local stores like Dominic's, and this is before hot bars even came out. What did they think that people would have? Packaged prepared foods that you would get a meal to go and heat it up, pop it in your microwave. And then you have the advent of the grocery store that looks like a restaurant now in their prepared food section. And so that was really my entry point to commercialization, because even though the world's greatest greens are a food service product in itself, packed 6 5-pound bags, so a 30-pound case.
Right.
Started off in a retail environment. But some of these grocery stores, they rival quick service restaurants in sales on a daily basis. They're competing with restaurants with their offering. So now we turn the page from 6 years of proven sales in the retail environment with Whole Foods, Mariano's, and now currently Jewel Osco. We're ready to offer the world's greatest greens to food service.
Yeah. And you're talking about a thing that a great friend of mine, Bronston Carroll, always says: continuous improvement, right? So I adopted that mindset.
Okay.
And it seems like right now what you're saying is once you entered into that arena, right, and you saw that there was a need and that you can put your greens on a hot bar, you still kept your eyes open because you have more than one different product, correct?
Yeah, we have more than one different product. So I kind of see what else can we commercialize as we see these greens. And so quite honestly, we had 2 SKUs starting off in Whole Foods. We had the Cousins, and then we had a Southern Kale. Okay, Mariano's wanted a different version. So we had what I call a migration mix: mustard, turnips, collards, and kale. That's my favorite combination. And then we moved to Jewel Osco, and they wanted something totally different because they wanted an air of exclusivity for their, each retailer. We want something different. So that's where collards and kale were born from the Jewel's relationship. So total, we have 8 SKUs of greens total. And from that, we developed a value line of each SKU using chopped and frozen greens and cooking them and seasoning them at a lower price point that will hit touch points at other operators in food service channels.
Right. With still keeping that same, great flavor as well, too.
The same formulation. We're just giving you an option A or option B. We want to sell to everybody.
Let's talk about the business, Chef. So like you said, so you're getting into manufacturing, and it's kind of tough for a lot of businesses starting up, especially small businesses and within our community, right? So what helped you or what inspired you to take that step? And did you take it alone? And how did you navigate? Did you go to a bank? For me, I went and visited a bank and I sat down with a banker. That was my first
I've come, from FAMU, strong network, School of Business and Industry. One of my classmates, and also he's a mentor, Steve Hall. He was a banker, and he, had been watching my journey. And at the time, he worked with a micro lender, Axiom. And so in 2012, I started my LLC in September of 2012. And he suggested Axiom with all the micro lending and small business services. And so I got my first my small business credit building loan for $1,000. I mean, we don't appeal to traditional banks. And so I was 40 at the time, and it was like a humbling experience because when you're mastering yourself and you're going through all these hills and valleys and issues in life, and bad credit, because that's a part of it too. So when I got this $1,000 check, and the loan officer pulls me into the room, okay, he's got the check here, but he has a fact sheet, and that's basically like has your net worth and your assets minus liabilities, you own equity, and then you got your student loan over there. And when I looked at I think that credit score was about 502, something like that, Chef. My negative net worth plus $100,000 in student loan debt. I was like, whoa, man! It was like it was a deflating but yet inspirational moment, because I was like, man, hold on, I'm gonna sacrifice all of this. I know I had something to do with this. This is the journey. Yeah, I gotta get over the hump. But it was a starting point. But you know what? I paid off that $1,000 loan. Then it came back a $2,500 loan. Paid that off. Then I went to a $4,000 loan. And so, to be honest, when I got my break, whenever it was time for me to elevate, the money always appeared. Yeah. The money really always appeared. And I'm grateful. And, with all humility, I could have quit a long time ago, because when I started the LLC in 2012, I call it my take it off the porch moment. I credit my brother Anton Seals for giving me a pep talk. He was the one that, kind of take it off the porch. I always remember he said, take it off the porch. That's what a lot of people sing and dance, sing. But, okay, I've been hustling. I've been catering. I've been hiring myself out. But the difference between hustle and business, when I started that LLC, that means that's a benchmark. Yeah. I'm for real. That means that you're serious. There's certain things business-wise that you need to do to establish yourself to be a business and to do business. And from that point, and so we're coming up in September now, will be our official 10-year anniversary of establishing Eating to Live LLC.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's awesome too, because not even with just that part, right? So, Chef, so you're certified in a lot of different areas. So, just tap on that really quickly. So, how hard was it for you to get all these different certifications, right?
Because you gotta have it took. I have to thank my accountant and sister Audrey Lewis. We've known each other ever since day camp, since we were 6 years old. But we also went to high school together at St. Ignatius. And she was my accountant. And, she started off with me with receipts in the box and the envelope and things of that nature to have myself. Because when I was catering, I didn't really know how much money I was making. I was just hustling to pay bills, child support. I was hustling. When it was time to go to a business, you got to get your business affairs in order. And so what prohibits small businesses from taking advantage of getting certifications and getting different contracts is the books. You got to have the books together. And so I'm thankful for a strong support system, not only with my bookkeeper, accountant, the day-to-day financial advisor, but also my tax accountant, Don Cheatham, DC Tax Group. And they work together. Everybody works. So, I've known Don since I was 13. I've known Audrey since I was 6. So I have people that I really trust around me when it regards to small business. And and explain it to me as I get to each step. And I think that's important is a team. And I rely on my team. I do some fact check, but I trust my team. Because, you know, when you have people that are close to you that you really trust and they're part of the journey, I don't worry about them taking advantage of me, because if they take advantage of me, they ultimately are taking advantage of themselves.
Yeah.
So that is what. But to in summary, if you don't have your books in order, you cannot get the certification. So we're certified by the city, we're certified by the state. We have a minority business certification. We're MBE certified. We also ACDB certified for airport concessions. So, and one thing I do want to add, Chef, is that just because you get certifications does that not mean you're automatically going to get some contract or some business from that. Yes. But when you get to certain levels, you can't get the business unless you got certifications. That's just how it goes.
Yes.
That's
true. And that's the gate, you know, that's the gatekeeper right there.
So they keep you out. You never will be able to get your foot in the door unless you get your books in order. And, you know, sometimes there's, you know, different way you're paying payroll in cash, you're not doing this, you're not keeping up with what you need to do. And ultimately, you need that to legitimize your business if you want to play on a high level.
Correct.
If you want to play with the big boys, as you said, if you want to play with the big boys, you got to have your affairs in order. It's nothing wrong with being small, but man, you gotta see that. You gotta govern yourself accordingly, as they say.
Definitely. And then, like you said, playing with the big boys. So up and coming this month, I know that you're entering the NRA show, right? For the first time. Let's talk about it.
First time. So, you know, 25 years ago when I was a culinary student at the Cooking and Hospitality Institute, they had student rates. That was the first time I heard about a restaurant show. Man, I got on that show floor and my eyes lit up. I was like, wow. Like it was food heaven, you know. So literally for the first 2-3 years attending the show, I walked every aisle back and forth. Every aisle of the show. I literally have every sales sheet, booklet, information going back to 25 years that I attended the show. Everything. I mean, because really, you know, part of my superpower and competitive advantage is being well researched. So, you know, and that was just something that was innate in me. So this inspiration of seeing that show 25 years ago, and then once I started teaching, taking young people with the ProStart Illinois Restaurant Association had a program that allowed culinary students to come. They'd have a symposium when they first got there, and then we go to the show floor. And so I'm sharing, I'm going for eating to live, what I see, but I have my students with me trying to inspire them. And, you know, 25 years later, and back then I'm like, I'm gonna have a booth one day. I didn't know it was gonna take 25 years. But that time has come. So, you know, next weekend, May 21st in McCormick Place. Come see the world's greatest greens. Preview the food service in booth 10734 in the Lakeside Center. Saturday through Tuesday, eating to live. And so we could have began at there are a lot of regional food shows and local food shows, but the stars align, and I think it's characteristic of my journey. And you know, I am prepared. I'm not coming by myself. We're gonna
I will be there.
I can't wait to get there. So we got some of the soldiers coming out, and I think that, and we also have this year's group of seniors that are coming on a field trip to the show. So I think that full circle moment in the journey with myself, you, Chef Naya, Chef Mallory, Larry's coming out, Chef Wonderful's coming out, and then you got the new young people. And it's inspirational to be able to live a dream in plain sight, you know, back from stuff that you visualized 20, 30 years ago and see them coming to pass. It's better than any reward you could ever get from anybody recognizing you, saying you did X, Y, and Z, and I've never gotten it. I really don't need that. The reward is seeing this. The reward is the birth of Talk to Me Chef podcast. The reward is, us being able to be on the show floor, selling together, taking it to the next step. Like you said, taking over the world. So going from being to live as a regional supplier, morphing into a national supplier with multiple customers and food service in different segments of the industry, and to build capacity so that I can increase my human capital, hire more of my former students full time to build the business. So we got something box, okay, I'm not a one-man show, but how do we teach young people to create jobs? That's the thing. Okay, you're an entrepreneur. People are, oh, I'm a millionaire. All right, you're a millionaire. Outside of your village and your family, how many millionaires did you produce? That's the real question. That's the real question. So I'm thankful, Chef. I'm humble. I just want to tell all the young chefs out there to keep working. If they got a dream, you got to work on it. There's no cookie cutter. There's no shortcuts to success. And they got to stay humble. I see a lot of chest beating on the internet where people, oh, I'm this, I'm that. I'm not really into that. I was always taught when you're good, you promoting yourself, start off with friends and family. When you think you're good at something, you tell other people. But when you become great, they're going to tell you. You don't have to say anything.
Right. So what does the future look like, Chef?
Woo, the future. The future is now. So, my immediate future is kind of shifting my role from the day-to-day to transition out of, teaching on a day-to-day basis. That is the first pivot to fully immerse myself into eating to live and the brands that are under it. So freedom ain't free, So I thought it would have been years ago. About 10 years ago, I had a student when I just didn't have it. I was trying to teach culinary math, Chef. And one of my students, I'm not going to say her name, I'm not going to put a name in the street, but she was like, Chef Fuller. I said, what, Ashley? I was kind of had an attitude. It was a long day. Kids were getting on my nerves. She was like, you're going to be here for the rest of your life teaching at CBS. Ooh. I was like, man, why you say that about me? And I thought about that. I'm like, she don't believe in me. If I ever get to the point where I'm just going through the motions, I can't be here anymore. So, no, I won't do that. But that portion is coming to an end. So I look forward to the show being able to generate enough business. So walking off the cliff, we want to make a great effort to make it next school year to year 20. And then I plan to kind of shift into a half day rolling and then out after that. So I want to make the 20 do the 20 piece for pension purposes. I made it this long. I mean, first to the pandemic, it's just a few pennies, but I want to be able to do that. I can do that, but also I want to leave the program in good hands and transition, and not just say, okay, I'm out. I think, I spent more than 40% of my life doing this and this part of the journey. So, it means something to me, and I'd like to leave it in a better position than when I got the baton.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in this very moment, if there's any questions, y'all can put them in the chat. And while that's happening, Chef, I just want to say, I greatly appreciate you and I love you. And everything that we've done together has been amazing. I'm enjoying this journey, and it's great watching it front row seat, right?
Hey, man, in real time, I love you, brother. It's like when you're living in a dream, it's different. I want, and you can share that same thing. When you live in a dream, when you already, and it keeps going.
Yeah.
Let's stop. Now it changes. Now
Yeah.
I've gotten older, physically demanding. You ask me, Chef, you don't have a chair? I said, man, I stand on my feet all day. My hands are bad. I got carpal tunnel in the right hand, arthritis in the left hand. I would not wear my braces, but so that's being intentional.
Yeah.
You know, that's from years of catering and lifting and chopping and going hard, but also demonstrating during the day, you know, at school, but also offsite working for my own business, and it has taken a toll. So you got to listen to your body. You got to say, hey, well, wait a minute. At this point, I need to use my mind, and I need to use the human capital to produce revenue. It's not just coming from these hands. So we're just going to a different skill set. Yes, sir.
Working on the business versus in the business.
Working on it. So what the wise business people say who are successful, you know, you have to replace yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And once you replace yourself, then you see growth and scale. Mm-hmm. You can only be a one-man band operation for so long if you want to scale. And so we have some help. We're going to put them to use. We're going to have a great show, plenty of contacts, plenty of new customers. And I can't wait to, you know, follow to get on the show floor with you, but also with this platform, because we got to get one of those chefs on the show floor to be a Talk to Me Chef live at the NRA show.
Chef live. Yeah, Chef. So any final words?
Man. One thing I would say, you know, just believe in yourself. To all the young culinarians and people that have a passion for this industry, stay humble, be grateful. One thing that keeps me grounded is that I will share. I didn't give my gifts to myself. And so the gifts that I'm blessed with, I was blessed to bless other people. And so it becomes a gift that keeps on giving in all humility. Just think about that. You didn't give your gifts to yourself. And so once you recognize your gifts and it becomes clear to you, and everybody gets it at different points. Some people go to their grave without being able to share their gifts with the world. But once you have that assignment, I mean, it's like it called me. I didn't call it. It called me. And so what am I going to do with all these multitude of gifts that I have? Is to pour into other people. And lastly, don't be afraid to collaborate and work with other chefs. Stop arguing over who got the best macaroni and cheese. You know, come together on a master macaroni and cheese recipe, package it up, sell it to other people. So especially in our community, stop being afraid to sit down next to each other.
No competition.
No competition with envy and jealousy. I can work on your project and I can write you a recipe and nobody have to know. If you break bread, I want my 5% or whatever we negotiate to.
Yeah, vice versa.
You know, but I will always give you some jewels for free because you can't pay. You know, I started when I was 15 and washing dishes and busting tables. You can't pay for 34 years experience in the industry. I mean, it's worth something. You know, so break bread. That's the final. Break bread. Take over the world. Break bread.
Take over the world. So where can we reach you, Chef?
You can reach me at www.etlfoods.com. You can email me directly at david@etlfoods.com. And for those people in the industry that are coming out in the town next weekend at the biggest food show in the world, a global show, the NRA, National Restaurant Association show, May 21st through 24th. Catch us, the world's greatest greens, Eating the Lives booth on the Lakeside Center, booth number 10734. Come taste the world's greatest greens. See what all the buzz is about.
Yes. And once again, so thank you everybody for tuning in. We had an amazing conversation with an amazing chef.
And it's time to go already.
It's time to go. So as you know it, so We'll be checking back in next month, but you can follow us on all social outlets at Talk to Me Chef. And you can also visit www.talktomechef.com and sign up for our mailing list so we can keep you updated. And don't forget, like Chef said, go grab your knives. Chef Diamond and Friends for the young chefs, and register for our culinary cooking club at chefdiamondandfriends.com. So thank you all again. And I'm Chef Diamond. This is Chef Fuller. Y'all have a wonderful night. Take care.
May the force be with you.